Hi guys, John here, Hot Rods in the Woods. The last installation of let's get these oil leaks fixed so we can drive this thing all the time. So, as you saw in the last video, when I pulled the tunnel rim off, it was in bad shape. So, 2 days of scraping and paint removing and da-da-da-da-da-da. And finally, I have the top half done. Now it isn't perfect. There's still red on it that I've got to scrape some more. 3 deuces. It's going on something. So now I'm going to show you what I'm fighting. Yeah, it's ugly. This is acetoned, paint thinnered, and now the third type of paint stripper. And finally, it's starting to come off, but it's like goo. I don't know what this stuff was, but this powder coating is tough. So anyway, that's what we're dealing with here. So, what I've decided to do is this. I went ahead and bead blasted her up. This is the Edelbrock Street Tunnel Ram. She's looking pretty darn good. So that's the plan. So I'm getting ready to goop it up, put some gaskets on it, and put it in the car. I've bead blasted it, brake cleaned it, blew it off. She's ready to go. So we'll get you set up and see what we can do here. Okay, so when you're working on a small block Chevrolet or anything else for that matter, it never hurts to test fit the intake real quick just to make sure that it hasn't been decked and that the intake sits too high so you can't get a good bead of silicone around the ends. So this one fits good. That's what she's going to look like. So I'm going to pull it off. I'm going to silicone up the ends, put the gaskets on, and we're going to put this baby together right now. Okay, so a few little points. I found out that this ultra black seems to work the best. I don't know why. It's the only stuff you get that doesn't have a tendency to ball up in the tube between the times you use it. So I'm just putting a little bit right around the water jacket. Not so much that it gets in the water jacket, just a little bit. Help that gasket stay in place and hopefully cause it not to seep. So we'll do that. Now look, you're using a gasket for the sealing, so you don't need to try and make a gasket out of the silicone. This is just to help it seal a little bit better, right? And then you get a gob like that, or it just pops out. You just got to get it out of there. So here's where my leak was. It was right at this dam. And what happened was, as I get my tube all goofed up, because I'm grabbing it from the middle instead of the end, what happened was, it took me so long to get the intake on that this stuff started to set up. And I could put the intake on first and then do the walls. Which, to be honest, I probably should have done. But we are here now. Just like that. And we'll go ahead and put these on. And then time is of the essence, but what I'm going to do, if they're there, I'll put just a dab on top of it, just to make sure we don't get any leaks at the transitions. Because I don't like that little gooper right there, we'll add just a little more. All right, now comes the fun. Ow. I hope that didn't screw you guys up in the camera. I'll check it in a bit. Now we want to set this one time and one time only. Just like that. One thing I do as soon as I get the intake on is put a rag in the distributor hole, and it doesn't hurt. Put one over top of the carbs. $1976, 7, 8. Where was I? 79. I was working for Jack Lee Chrysler Plymouth in West Wego, Louisiana. Took the job down there before I became a CTT for Chrysler Corporation. And I had a 72 Dodge Challenger that I had built a 360 for. Which, if anybody remembers back then, it was purple shaft, and I decked the heads and did the high performance box and all of that good stuff from Mopar. Actually, back then it was direct connection. The one thing I forgot to grab was a flashlight, which I'm going to get now before I snug this all the way down. Anyway, I was in there on a Saturday. I was actually swapping the camshaft. Dealership was closed, but they allowed me to work on my car there. We had some pretty good racing going on back then, down by Lake Pontchartrain. Yes, it was street racing. But I had this little thing set up with a bunch of nitrous. She was pretty darn quick. Okay, I'm just checking my wall in the back to make sure I have some good goop, and all appears to be okay. So, that being said, I ran out of time. I don't remember what my excuse was, but I had to go. So I left it sitting in a stall. Wasn't one of the mechanic stalls. It was my stall. So there wasn't a problem that I thought of. But apparently there was, because come Monday morning, I came in. My car had been covered up. I covered the engine. And I went and finished putting the intake on, got all that stuff taken care of, and used all the bolts. Didn't have any bolts left over. Didn't have any extras. Wasn't short any. Because just like this, I usually set them side by side. I've been doing this for years, and although I was younger at the time, I was already certified. And so I went and Put it all back together. Like I said, no extra bolts. No, nothing magic. Nothing fancy. And the minute I started it up, it started knocking and broke a piston. Here's the funny part. Keeping in mind this is the late 70s. I pulled the heads off it when I finally got the chance. And it had a metric bolt in a cylinder. The crazy part was, and this is the part I knew I'd been messed with, there was no way that bolt would have made it past the intake valve without breaking the valve or something. So they had to put it in through the spark plug hole, which spark plugs were out. But there weren't any metric bolts on a 72 Challenger. So, knowing that bit of information, I had to build another motor. Not good. In case you're wondering, I'm just snugging these up. And then I'll work my way out from the center out. So, I'm always really careful, and I've built hundreds of engines since then, and it's pretty bad stuff. I've had blown big blocks in race boats. I've had, well, we actually, back in the late 70s, that was just before I moved to New Orleans, was drag racing boats in California, and we were running a twin turbocharged big block before they had all the spiffiness of wastegates and boost controllers and all of that good stuff. You want to talk about something that lagged? Keep in mind, I'm sure they were doing turbos in cars somewhere, but we didn't know anything about that stuff. My service writer at the Toyota dealership that I worked at, his name was Bob Brown. He ran a twin turbocharged big block also, and he was sponsored by, I think it was Ray J at the time, which, if you know anything about early turbo companies, Ray J was trying to figure out all this stuff. Then I'm just checking my China wall to make sure. It appears we had some good squeeze out. Just for grins, I'm going to take my finner, see how nasty I can get it. Oh, that's just what I needed to do. All right, before I do anything else, just grab my towel and we'll cover this up. Like that. And we're good to go. Now I'm going to check that one more time and just make sure this is, I know it's overly cautious, but once bitten, twice shy. It's so tight to the back. My mirror wanted to work. Now I edited about 2/3 of this out. It's a beautiful thing. Am I going to look at the front one? Yeah, might as well. It's a gabagoo. And that's all we care about, right? Too many buttons on these lights. I just want one that's on and off. Okay, so now we're just going to snug this baby up. We're going to call her good. I know a lot of you guys will say, why ain't you torquing? Well, because. In all of the intake manifolds I've ever put on, I have never had one that has had a problem. Until this one, which had nothing to do with my tightening and everything to do with my gooping. So we are nice and snug. And I also know not to over tighten. I've done enough of these. I mean, obviously, I even know where the bolts are without looking at it, so I can just about do it blind. Okay, so here we are. Intake manifold is on. Now it is time for the distributor. Now, if you recall, I had set the distributor. The cap aims toward number one. Number one's over here, but the rotor was pointing that way, just about at number 2. So I should be able to drop the distributor back in with a new gasket. Let me grab one of them, because we've got them in stock. So today is the 2nd of July, and I want to take this to the fireworks on the 4th of July. Actually, it'll be the 5th of July here. The little local town, actually my, I don't know what you call her. She's amazing. Dental assistant, whatever. Her son or son-in-law is doing the fireworks, and it's not a professional. Jeez, now I gotta go get another rag. Not a professional thing like, you know, big towns do. We're a town of 450 people, and I like it that way. But He's going to put on a fireworks display at the boat ramp, which is, if you see this river and you see this boat ramp, it's got a huge parking lot. It's up kind of like on a levee, and the boat ramp is long and goes down to the river. So it's not far away. And we're going to go down and watch them. And it'll be the first time anybody out there seen the car with the new interior in it. And it should be a good time. So that's the plan. Now, as I told you before, this boot had broken the bottom of this distributor. So I'm just putting a little goop on it. No, it's not going to be waterproof, but it should keep the dust out. And of course, now I got silicone all over my hand. It's just the second of many times. Just a little bit of orange paint on here. Get that out of there. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can do this in one fell swoop. It's gonna go like this. That's gonna go like that. That's all gonna go like that. Now here's the question. Do I have the distributor in the right way? You need to look at the cap to find out which side has the notch. Because I don't remember if I had the wire coming off on the driver's side or the passenger side. So you look at the cap. The notch is on the driver's side in front of the screw, about an inch. I'll tell you how tight this is. I cannot turn the distributor around. I don't know if I want those wires up or I want them down. What do you think? I think if they're up, can I get them up higher? Let's see. Okay, that's where that's got to be. This has to be right there. And then my mark has to be right in there. I'm going to slide the rest of the old boot up. That was primarily painless. Now, as I said before, this poor thing, when we first moved up here, sat out underneath the cover for an entire winter, snow and all. So needless to say, the distributor hold down's got to go. So I have 3 or 4 of them sitting over here. So we'll just grab another one, see if we can't make her a little prettier. I don't know why I'm bothering to clean one of these up with steel wool. Try and make it pretty, because once that bracket is in the way for the throttle, no one is ever going to see it. But the least I can do is try. So, shit. How was your trip? See you next fall. Wow. My big ass feet. So apparently I didn't notice that my mic had come unplugged from the camera. So I'm just going to say right here what I'm doing is I'm going ahead and starting the plug wires and putting them on the distributor cap before the carburetor is on because it's just easier. So I'll fast forward through this and you can just enjoy my silence for a minute. Well, as with everything, there's always some things that change. So this, my thermostat housing, my fuel pressure regulator, used to mount right on that bolt hole. The problem is on the Edelbrock, this whole thing is moved back about an inch because it used to set right there, just like that. As you can see, there's no way to do that. I really didn't want to move all of this. I don't know if I have big enough fuel line to move it. So, I'm going to have to make up some sort of a bracket. So we'll see what we can come up with. Hunt some junk down and I'll be back. Okay, so what I had was an old piece of aluminum bracket. And what I did was I cut it to keep the bevel to lock this in place, attach it to the thermostat housing, and it's not going anywhere. So that should work out just fine. Well, apparently my microphone broke when it fell or something, I'm not sure, but I failed to record this, so I just wanted to bring you up to speed. I went ahead and colored the carburetors, as you can see. I did the main bodies. I changed the bowls, changed them so that I can change the fuel lines to either side, put it all back together, and here's what you end up with. She's much prettier, a lot cleaner now. Had a little problem on its first evening run out. This radiator hose down here, as I get to it in a second, has no reinforcement. So I went ahead and cut it. It split. We went and we were at the gas station. It wasn't good. Wife had just bought ice cream. We were at a Dollar General that was closed in 10 minutes. So I went ahead and bought this reinforced radiator hose. I will cut the end, install that on there, and that will be cured. So in the meantime, everything else is doing well. It's running good. I have a little bit of a spit out the pipe. I think it's a little lean. I'll have to fix that. But other than that, she's ready to go. So there we have it for now. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you have any comments, say them. I may ignore them if I don't like them. But that's just the way of YouTube. And thanks again for watching. Bye for now.